Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host, Jo Millmine, and this is episode 141, Methods for Repairing Hand-Knit Socks.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's all right.
Hello and welcome to episode 141. I'm Jo, I'm your host, and today is Friday, the 17th of April 2020, the Mad Dog 2020. How are you? I hope you're well. I hope you've been good since last time I spoke to you. If you're a new listener joining me today for the first time, hello. You're all right. Welcome into the podcast. Hopefully you'll enjoy what you find. And if you're a returning listener, as always, I'm super grateful for you coming back and joining me again for another episode of the show. So today I'm going to be talking about methods for repairing hand knit socks because I had an unfortunate incident with a pair of hand knit socks that I made when I was in South Africa. So it was quite a long time ago. It must be at least 7 years ago that I made these socks, and they were knitted out some lovely nurturing fibres yarn, and I've discovered that one of them has a complete hole in the heel that I just missed when I had it on. It kind of looked a bit like a mouse had chewed it, to be honest, but I don't think it did. I think it was, I've just not noticed it. I don't have mice in my house. I do have mice in my garden though. That's another story. But obviously because I love these socks, I have been looking at methods for repairing them because I've got quite a good rotational system for socks, and I've never really had to fix many before, not for a long time. So I thought I'd go and have a look for some good methods. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today in the main part of the show. But in the meantime, how are you getting on? Before we get to that, the chitty chatty part, what have you been up to? We're all locked in for another 3 weeks, aren't we? Which is vaguely devastating. I'm a little bit over it now, to be honest, with just me and the kids all the time. But we do what we must, don't we? So I will, crack on and execute on my Boris Bimbles and just wait for it to kind of blow over, basically. I had a few messages about Boudica. Thank you to the people who sent me messages about Boudica and podcast episodes to listen to and stuff like that. It took me, I've only done like one lesson of history, the Boudica one. It took me like 2 weeks to actually get through it. I'll get to it rather than through it. I'm still doing all of the homeschooly stuff. We've dispensed with Joe Wicks. Like, Joe's dead to us. He's too boring. Like, the kids are bored of him. No offence, Joe. You're doing a good job and everything, mate, but you're a bit boring. So we're still on the Cosmic Kids yoga and not a lot else other than the Boris Bimble, to be honest, other than Sammy likes to stand and watch random videos, then jump up and down along to them. They do a little bit of Just Dance, and that's pretty much the lot, really. But yeah, since last time I was chatting to you, I've had a few existential crises. This is a very common theme. Everyone's having them right now. And it's just aggravating. Like, I was having a really good day and I'd done the English, I'd done the maths, I'd done some science, like we'd done the homeschool thing. There was a spaghetti bolognese in the oven. Like, I felt like I was kind of owning it. And then I'm just sat there in the sunshine, in the garden, like all of the ticks, all of the good ticks. And I'm just sat there going like, I feel dead inside. Like, literally, I should be loving life because I'm owning today. Like, I've kicked today's ass big time in terms of achieving things. I've kicked ass. But I just feel dead inside. Like, what is the meaning of life? Why am I even here? All of those good stuff. I mean, come on, we've all done it, haven't we, in the last few weeks? And I was just like, I feel really ripped off because I've had a good day and then I still feel dead inside. Literally dead inside. And I was proper miserable. And then someone shared this random video on Facebook. It's like my cousin shared it, of this guy dancing in his underpants to this song that used to come on when we were younger, we used to sneak into clubs underage on King Street in Wigan. Scots and Turnkey, in case anyone is familiar with the finer landmarks of Wigan, neither of which are open in that guise anymore. But it was Scots and Turnkey, and they were across the road from each other, and one was underground and one wasn't. And you got this rover ticket, like you got a stamp, which meant you could go into both of them. But if you paid to get in one, you could go into the other one. And they always used to play this song, Bits and Pieces, by I think it's Artemisia. I'll put a link to the YouTube song anyway in the show notes. And yeah, this guy's there, and he's in these green underpants, these green Y fronts, and it must be like 50 odd. And he's got this glass in one hand and a bottle of Mad Dog 2020 orange flavour, in case you're interested, which is like a fortified wine drink from like that period. It was very popular when we were growing up north as one of the grog drinks that you would get and drink on the park. If you had a bit of money, you got the Mad Dog. It was mostly Merrydown, to be honest. But he had this bottle of Mad Dog, and he's got the bottle in one hand, the drink in the other, and he's just dead happy, and he's just dancing around. He's like, I'm happy in my pants. And he's bopping around his living room with this bottle of Mad Dog. And it absolutely killed me. I couldn't stop. I could not stop laughing. I must have watched the video about 250 times. I'm telling you, it was hilarious and thoroughly dispensed with my existential crisis. So yeah, that's, I guess, my top survival tip for this episode is just watch a load of comedy videos. That is the only way. The memes are the only way. And Tiger King is the only way. Tiger King is the only way. Wow. I've watched them all now. Thank you to everyone who's been sending me random Tiger King stuff. I'm going to collect it all together and put it in an episode for you, maybe next week. There's even some Tiger King yarn. Like, I'm loving it. Someone sent me one today where two men had recreated it by spray painting a cow and recreated scenes from Tiger King. So I think I might just do an homage to Joe Exotic basically in the next episode, which is going to be lost on a load of you. So if you've not seen it, I suggest you go watch it, so then you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, absolutely loving the memes and everything from that as well. So that's basically, I'm surviving powered mostly on Limp Bunnies and Tiger King memes right now, which is all good. So yeah, if you're not doing any homeschooling at all now, don't stress. I really wouldn't mind too much. We did a puzzle. We started doing some jigsaw puzzles. We did the periodic table jigsaw puzzle yesterday, so I feel like they've done some science and stuff. But yeah, hope everyone is staying alive, basically. Not much knitting has been done as a result of watching these comedy videos. So what we'll do now is we will get into the main kind of chit-chat of the show and talk about some methods for fixing socks. So grab half a leftover Easter egg and an Irish coffee all ready. It's Friday afternoon, and we will crack on with the show. So, methods for fixing socks then. As I said, I had a pair of socks that I've managed to wear through a hole in the heel of one of them. Not even on both of them, which is a bit annoying. And they are I've got a project for them on Ravelry. They are the Matrix socks, and they're knitted in Nurturing Fibres Super Twist sock, which is 100% high twist superwash merino yarn. And I mean, I have hammered them. I've kicked the absolute backside out of these socks, but I was wearing them as bed socks. I don't tend to wear hand knit socks for walking around in, like everyday wear, but I do wear them a lot in bed because I have really cold feet at night. It's very strange. And I don't like to wear socks in bed, and I certainly don't like sweaty ones. Like I do not even want to get anywhere close to those really fluffy, synthetic-y, sweaty feeling. No. So I always wear the hand knit socks in bed. And this pair is a particular favourite for that. Now, I don't know how I've managed to wear through one heel and not the other, but that's what's happened. So I'm now looking at ways of fixing them and repairing them. And luckily, I do have some of the actual yarn that was used left over. Now, it's much easier, I'll say this now, like future me, telling past me, that it's much easier to repair socks or indeed any kind of knitwear if you repair them when they get thin rather than when there's a hole in them. It's a lot more straightforward to repair them when they're still intact. It's certainly possible to repair them when they're not intact anymore, but you might just find it easier to repair them when they are still intact. So one of the easiest ways that you can do it is to darn, basically knit it in place and go over where the yarn has got thin. So where it's worn away and there's still a thread there, you can use another thread or the same yarn that you used before or whatever to go over and duplicate yarn over the bit that's thin to strengthen that area and make sure that it doesn't wear all the way through. Some people like to use reinforcing thread for that, which you can buy and put in, and that adds some strength. Some people recommended using a finer gauge of yarn to go over it so you don't get like a bumpy bit, a thicker bit that's obvious, because that's one of the concerns for me with like repairing things is that you can feel the bump. And other people say just use the same size of yarn that you've got already. So we obviously knitted it in a 4-ply, a sock weight 4-ply yarn, and I've got some of that left over, but I could use any other kind of that yarn. You probably want to stick with the same blend because it'll wear differently if you don't, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't do that, to be honest, but it's worth considering. And you can either go for a similar colour or you can go for like the proper visible mending piece where you make it obvious that you've repaired it. So what you might want to do is get a darning mushroom for this, a darning egg or a mushroom. If you have one lying around, super. If not, apparently you can use an incandescent light bulb. I mean, I don't know if anyone even has them anymore, but if you've got one lying around, then you could use that. Or maybe try like a tennis ball or something, like if the dog's got a ball, something not too fluffy because you don't want to pick up all the fluff, but just to stop you sewing through to the other side of the sock whilst you're sewing. You just want to kind of spread the stitches out so you can see what you're doing and not sew the two sides of it together, basically. So that obviously is a bit easier than trying to knit a complete patch from nothing, which is the way that you would repair a pair of socks or a fabric that has already gone through. So if you're going to do the darning technique, like I said, get your egg or your mushroom and put it inside, spread out the fabric, and you want to start a little bit further down from the thinning part of the fabric. So a couple of rows further down the fabric from where it's getting thin, and that's where you're going to start. And you're going to basically just follow the stitches all the way around, in and out, just duplicating exactly what is already there. And that, will reinforce it, and that's a pretty straightforward fix. Now, if you've already gone through it like I did, then you've got a couple of options. You can add a patch and knit that on. So to do that, you would again go a couple of rows lower than where the hole is this time and pick up stitches, and then you would knit a certain number of rows to cover the gap. And then you can either cast it off and sew it on down the edges and at the top, or you could graft it into the top and sew up the edges, or some people knit a patch completely separately, put that on and then sew around that so it's not actually attached to the fabric itself. One way that I found a video for, I'll put videos for all of these in the show notes, by the way, and the show notes will be at shinybees.com/141 for this episode. Every episode has its own set of show notes with links in, and it is the number, whatever the number is of that episode, it's shinybees.com/ whatever that is. Sorry, someone's reversing down the street if you can hear the beeping. It's very busy around here at the moment. So, yes, you can either pick up and knit an extra flap, and this one way that I've found that looks really good that I'm going to try involves using knit two togethers and slip knits to attach the patch as you go up as well. So there's no extra kind of sewing or anything to do afterwards, which I think is a bit easier. And then you graft it at the top to attach it. You could also use this method to attach pockets to a garment, which is why I'm very keen to kind of try it on a small fabric first, small patch first. And then if it's really good, I could think about like adding pockets to everything, which would be amazing, obviously. As I said, you can knit the patch separately and then just sew it on like you would patch ordinary clothes if you want to. And I've also seen it done, but I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks, is to make a woven patch to darn it. So it's really, really obvious. I don't like the idea of the woven patch at all because it's not going to behave in the same way that a knitted fabric would. And especially on the ball of your foot, of your heel rather, you're not going to want that. It's going to rub, I think. So I wouldn't use that particular method for this, or probably anything. It looks really untidy. I'm sorry if you like doing it that way. It looks really untidy, so I don't particularly like it, but I can see how it would work quite nicely and stabilise the fabric and everything else. Now, obviously, if you've had the foresight or you have a foot that these particular heels fit nicely, if you've done an afterthought heel and the heel's gone on your socks, you can just take the afterthought heel out and replace it with another one, which is quite handy. I'd done a heel flap heel, so a little bit harder to replace than an ordinary, an afterthought heel would be if that went. So obviously I don't really have that option available. But I'm interested to hear from you. So if you have any good tutorials or any good explanations, or you've found some ways that work particularly well for repairing damaged knit fabrics, particularly holes in socks or repairing hand knit socks, so that they last longer, then let me know. Send me an email, info@shinybees.com, or you can get me on any of the socials at shinybees and let me know what you think. Or even better, leave a comment at the bottom of the show notes for this episode and we can keep everything together that way. So yeah, that's what I've found so far in terms of methods, and all of the links for those will be in the show notes at shinybees.com/141. So we'll keep it a short and sweet one for today, I think. Because, yeah, we don't want to wear ourselves out too soon, do we? But, yeah, just wanted to throw a little shout out there to Captain Tom. Has everyone seen Captain Tom? Bless him. He's dead good, isn't he? 17 million he's raised. Love him. Walking up and down his back garden. And you just sit there thinking, you know what, like, some old fella who just wanted to kind of keep himself busy by, raise a bit of money and keep himself fit in his back garden. Raising all that money, like, if you ever think that what you do doesn't matter and, what difference could you make? Look at him. Only going for a turn around the garden to keep himself quiet, and he's raised all that money. What an absolute ledge. Love him. So yeah, that's all we have time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the shorter show, and I'll be back again with you next time. There is going to be some Tiger King chat. I can feel it coming on already. But wherever you are, stay safe. Hit me up if you want to chat to me or give me any feedback on the show or whatever. Then you know where to find me. I'm info@shinybees.com or shinybees.com online or at shinybees on any of the socials. Just give me a shout and hopefully I'll have some fun stuff to share with you next week. But until then, take care, happy crafting, and I'll speak to y'all again soon. Cheers! You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast. Show notes for this episode can be found on the blog at shinybees.com/141. And to make sure you always get your episode delivered straight to your inbox as soon as it's released, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice.
If that's alright. I need a drink, I need a friend.